WWE allegedly just signed another second-generation superstar. So we'll take a look at what's going on there. There's also some new reports about an altercation Brock Lesnar had at the Royal Rumble, as well as another big surprise returning superstar for Roman Reigns. Let's start things off with the big signing of the second-generation superstar, and that individual is Bianca Carelli, who is the daughter of Santino Marella. Santino was a very entertaining WWE superstar. He thrived in the comedic role and provided fans with so many countless memories. He had a memorable debut where Vince McMahon selected him from a crowd as a fan, and he actually became the Intercontinental Champion right then and there on his first night in WWE. He would then go on to have a great WWE career. He even returned a few years ago during the Women's Royal Rumble match as his Santina persona. Well, now the spotlight is quickly turning to his daughter, Bianca. Bianca wants to follow in her father's footsteps and has been making a lot of noise in the independent wrestling industry. She even previously revealed that she's taken part in a few WWE tryouts as well, and talked about how intense those tryouts really were. Santino even put out a few tweets a few years ago aimed at Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, talking about how much of a star his daughter is. Well, fast forward a few years later, and it would appear that both Santino and Bianca's dreams came true. While speaking on Stories with Bradshaw and Briscoe, Santino revealed that Bianca has signed with WWE and will be starting at the Performance Center soon. He had this to say, quote, "My daughter is starting at the PC in 2 weeks. She got hired. She's a beast, man. She's going to be an absolute top-tier player. She was identified from a young child. You know, she won her school speechless, and she was Miss Teen Ontario. She's a television personality, and she's tall, and she's strong. In a couple of years, I can't wait to go to WrestleMania just as a parent, going to watch their kid. I don't want it to do anything. I don't want to sign. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm just here to watch my kid, and I just cannot wait for that." End quote. So Santino has been very excited about Bianca's future, even before she signed with WWE. But now that she's officially there, he's ready to see her at WrestleMania and really making a name for herself in WWE. Bianca has had a lot of matches, so she's coming in with experience. But now, the WWE training will officially kick in for her. Hopefully we do get to see Bianca on WWE television one day in a big way. A new Shane McMahon report has been released following all the other reports from earlier in the week. The previous report touched on how Shane McMahon received blame for how the WWE Royal Rumble turned out and how he got into it with Vince McMahon. But this new report claims that Shane and Brock allegedly got into it as well, overbooking in the Royal Rumble match. Brock was said to be set on how he wanted things to go during the Rumble, and Vince McMahon was strongly backing Brock up as well. Shane McMahon was reportedly going at it with Brock over the same issue of changing things up in the Rumble, but Vince was on Brock's side and nothing was changing. The report also claims that Brock Lesnar was supposed to absolutely dominate everyone left in the match when he came in at number 30. The only superstar he was supposed to struggle with was Drew McIntyre. McIntyre was the only one that was supposed to put up a strong fight against Brock and look like a threat to him before Brock finally eliminated him after a few minutes. So that seemed to be the original plan, and they seem to be sticking pretty close to that because that's what did happen. Brock even eliminated Shane McMahon himself during those closing moments of the match. So just more and more reports are coming out on everything that happened with Shane. Some reports are even saying that issues with him go way back, even before the entire Royal Rumble situation. So we'll have to continue to keep an eye on that story and see what comes out next. It looks like WWE's canceled Dream match is happening after all. Reports claim that Goldberg is on his way back to WWE for the final match on his current deal against Roman Reigns. Goldberg competed 3 times in 2021. One time where he declared himself one contender for the WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre. Then at SummerSlam, where he became #1 contender for the WWE Championship once again and then when he faced Bobby Lashley in a non-title match to get revenge for his son. Goldberg is an iconic figure in wrestling, a true legend. No one could take away from him, but it's something about the infinite world title match opportunities that turns some fans off. Matches like Goldberg vs. Dolph Ziggler in an exhibition match at SummerSlam from a few years ago was great, because it was just a fun match. But defeating Kevin Owens for a world title, The Fiend for a world title, and always returning for world title matches without earning the match is a bit strange. Commentators try to explain it in 2021, saying that Goldberg is a legend. He can come back whenever he wants and will get a world title match whenever he wants. And that's just a weak explanation. But in this 2022 return match for Goldberg, all signs are pointing at it being another world title match against Roman Reigns. Now, this world title match could potentially make sense depending on how they go about telling the story. Think back to early 2020. Goldberg and Roman Reigns started up the feud and had legitimately signed a contract for a Universal title match. That match never took place due to Roman stepping away from WWE. But if you have this story where Goldberg comes out, possibly even with a 2020 contract in his hands, that clearly mentions that he's entitled to a Universal title match with Roman Reigns, it'll be a nice callback to their canceled 2020 feud. And it'll be pretty hard to argue with Goldberg's world title match opportunity in that case, because he would literally have a Universal title match contract that contains both their signatures all the way back from 2020. But if Goldberg comes back for Roman Reigns and uses a generic, "You've beaten everyone, but you haven't beaten me" line, then that would feel a little bit weak, because Goldberg just used that line multiple times in 2021 and lost both of those matches. So the story is still up in the air, but the match seems to be on. Reports claim Roman Reigns vs. Goldberg will take place at Elimination Chamber. This was originally one of WWE's main event plans for WrestleMania 36. It was a huge match for them. They kept promoting it as Spear vs. Spear, but of course it never happened. So Goldberg could even mention how Roman was probably ducking and running away from him all this time. And that could also potentially lead to the feud. As much as Goldberg's world title matches usually don't make any sense, this one actually does make a bit of sense because of that canceled 2020 match and all that history there. The fact that this match was booked and officially signed for during a contract signing but never happened is a loose end that hasn't been tied up during these last 2 years. And of course, Roman Reigns would most likely come out of the match successful, so it would also be another big name to add to the list of victims throughout his entire historic world title reign. You take a look at all the names that Roman has faced off during this title reign, and you can argue that he's having one of the greatest modern day title reigns in WWE history. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.